was fun. Good morning and welcome to the Greenville Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. My name is Sean Trapp and I serve the congregation as the president-elect. Thank you. Whether you've been with us on Sundays for a long time or are visiting us for the first time today, we welcome you to our service. This congregation is diverse in beliefs, with participation open to all who agree to embrace our covenant, mission, and values, regardless of your partisanship or lack thereof. We are a welcoming congregation to people of all sexual orientations and gender identities, races, ethnicities, and abilities. We unconditionally welcome you as your full, authentic self to our community of care, spiritual growth, and personal growth. Our congregational mission is to strengthen our connections to one another and our planet by enlivening minds and spirits, building community through liberating love, and advocating fiercely for justice. It is custom in this congregation to acknowledge visitors and newcomers. If it's your first time here, would you mind raising your hand so we could acknowledge you? Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. All are invited to join us for coffee after the service. New and newish folks are invited to grab a green mug located inside the door of the fellowship hall so we can easily spot you and speak to you during our coffee hour. You are also welcome to fill out one of the new gold cards in the pew in front of you so you can stay informed regarding all of our activities. Simply drop the card in the offering basket or in the box at the hello table in the foyer. Before I end, I just want to let you know that in your service pamphlets this morning, there is an insert for the 75th anniversary, shameless plug. Go ahead and take a look at it and be aware of all the events that are taking place. I was asked to do that. Please know that whatever your religious history, whatever your spirituality, all people of goodwill are welcome here. Your presence does make us better. Your presence does make us whole. Our service will begin now.
If we choose love, how will love shape what we do? If we choose love, how will it improve our actions? If we choose love, how will I treat those around me? If I choose love, will I find it when life gets hard? If I choose love, will you also choose love? Love begets love, and it is love that lights our chalice today.
Hello, everyone. I'm Meg Barnhouse. I was the interim there while Jennifer was up at Harvard, feeling what it was like to be a Southerner, sort of, up there in Boston. There were some funny stories. I wish you could have heard them. Anyway, maybe you did. I really liked being there with you all. It was fun and it was enriching, lovely time. So I'm wishing you happy anniversary, and I hope you all have a great celebration. Okay. Love from Texas. Bye.
That voice. And I meant to warn you not to look at the adults during that this little light, but didn't get a chance, so your treat. We have a few announcements. I'm Maureen, Nery. I've been here for a while. The first one is that the RE kids not only are singing today, but will also be writing notes about how they spread love and light in the community. And the notes will be hung in the fellowship hall to the left as you enter. Please fill out your own note and help us celebrate our 75th anniversary. News from the thrift shop. Our beloved thrift shop is about to undergo a much-needed remodel. The Buildings and Grounds Committee could use your help today, immediately after the service. We need a dozen or more volunteers to form a bucket brigade and move out all the boxes. Together we can make quick work of it, and you can get back to the fellowship hall before the coffee line runs out. So follow Lori and Letitia out the double glass doors to your left as you leave the sanctuary. And one more announcement. What they look like. This is the front, this is the back. We have visors, we have caps, $25 for each. If you didn't pre-order, we're taking orders, and we will order again. So just get your orders in or come pick up. This allows us all to represent together as a group. Thank you. This morning's call to presence comes from the poet Emma Lazarus. It was written in 1883. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses longing to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door.
Good morning. I'm David Funderburk. I'm the Director of Religious Education here at GUUF. A little reminder that today we will have classes for all age groups. The kindergarten through third graders will be in the Spirit Playroom at the end of the hallway on the right, and older kids will all be downstairs. If you're, especially the Spirit Play folks, if your kindergartner through third grader is going to class today, please make sure that they have a name tag, and that the parent who's going to pick them up at their class at 12:15 has a wristband with their kid's name on it. And if you haven't registered for classes, make sure that you have your phone number on that name tag too, so that way we can get in touch with you if you're visiting. So I want to welcome any of the children or youth or anyone of any age who wants to come hear our story a little up close to sit in the front pews or on the floor at the base of the steps. Hello. Our story today is about an orchestra. Um, and we'll see in a little bit how this book relates to our community here at GUUF. It's called Because, and instead of writing words and illustrations, it says Score by Mo Willems and Performance by Amber Wren. Because a man named Ludwig wrote beautiful music, a man named Franz was inspired to create his own. Because many years later, people wanted to hear Franz's beautiful music, they formed an orchestra. Because a man had practiced since he was a kid, he was asked to join. Because a woman studied night and day, she too was asked to play. Because many others loved and practiced their instruments, there were enough musicians. Because someone created a poster about Franz's music, tickets were sold. Because the train conductor stopped the train at the Grand Concert Hall, the orchestra conductor arrived. Because the orchestra librarian had copies of the score, the orchestra rehearsed. Because workers checked the lights and the seats and swept the floors, the grand hall was ready. Because the time had come, the ushers opened the doors. Because someone's uncle caught a cold, someone's aunt had an extra ticket for someone special. Because the usher helped the aunt and her special guest, they found their seats. Because everyone was there to hear beautiful music, it was quiet. In row C, seat 14, sat the girl with the uncle's ticket. She heard the beautiful music written by the man named Franz, and it changed her. The girl was changed. From that moment on, the girl learned everything she could about music because it fed her. Soon, she started to write music too, because like Franz, the young woman had something to share. Over time, the woman became very good because she worked very hard. One night, her music was discovered because she was also very lucky. Then she was invited to perform her music at the Grand Concert Hall because so many people wanted to hear it. Her composition was dedicated to the uncle in row C, seat 14, because it was his ticket that brought her here. World premiere, Symphony No. 1, The Cold. Do you know why it's called The Cold? Well, it's dedicated to her uncle. Do you remember her uncle had a cold, and that's why she went? That night, someone else was changed. That is how it happens. So this book got me wondering. This was about an orchestra. But what if this book was about our community here at the Greenville Unitarian Universalist Fellowship? I wonder all of the little becauses that have led to us being here. I can think of a few for me. I'm here talking to you now because when I was a teenager, I decided to go on my own and find a new church for myself. And I visited this very room. And I only came once or twice, but I remembered that this is a place that was welcoming to me. So when I was an adult and I moved back to this city, I came back here. You can hear me right now through this microphone because our folks in the sound booth up there have done such a great job building up all of these microphones and all of the sound equipment so it works well every Sunday. The folks at home listening on our live stream today can hear what I'm saying right now because a few years ago there was a pandemic. And these same folks in the sound booth had to figure out how to hear the service when they're at home. I bet we could go on and on about all the becauses that lead to that's happening today. So keep that in mind, and you'll hear a bunch of those becauses. The folks that are staying in the service are going to hear a little bit about the history of this fellowship, and they'll hear a lot of those becauses, but I bet you can think of your own that are more personal. And I wonder what becauses have led you to be here today. So think about that as we head to our classes. Thank you for listening.
Unitarian Universalism is the vision of a world filled with peace, justice, love, and joy. That vision is embodied in its congregations. Each one depends on its congregants through their commitment of time, energy, and resources that make that vision real. Individually and collectively, we are Unitarian Universalists, building a world filled with peace, justice, love, and joy. The offering will now be given and gratefully received. It is our custom in this fellowship to share the joys and the sorrows that shape our lives, honoring each one with the lighting of a candle. We all have moments of celebration and of struggle. By sharing these experiences with one another, we can support and uplift each other on our journeys. The first concern is from Harry Stone. Jeremy Surratt died last week. His stepmother, Melissa Surratt, the Ingalls Greer pharmacist, is deeply saddened, as am I, who considers her a good friend. This next update is from Sabrina Walker's Covenant Circle. Sabrina was admitted to the hospital in the early morning of April 15th for emergency surgery and was ultimately diagnosed with septic shock. She was recently transferred back to the Woodlands Skilled Nursing, where she's expected to stay about 2 weeks. She's already been there a week, so hopefully just one more week, although she's already talking about escaping. Visits are welcome as long as you call first. She misses her GUUF family immensely. And Ward Hammond shares his joy that I'm going to be a grandfather again. Lydia is expecting a little girl, Ellie, in September. The next one is anonymous. We at GUUF hold in our hearts Pope Francis, a spiritual leader whose voice has often risen above division to speak for justice, compassion, and care for this earth. Whether Catholic or not, many of us have seen in him an humble shepherd, one who dared to ask, "Who am I to judge?" And in doing so, reminded the world of the power of love over doctrine. Pat Lundberg took a fall in her garden on Monday and sustained a broken arm. She is currently recovering at the home of Muriel and Glenn Rowley. Kind thoughts, as well as any cards or phone calls, would be appreciated during her recovery, and this is from Muriel Hill Rowley. The next one is anonymous. I'm feeling down about the nonprofit where I work at losing its funding. It was my dream job, and I'm having very little luck in finding something similar in the area. Please send good vibes that I can find a position grounded in equity again. Pamela Wood Brown writes, remembering my mother, Bethel Davis Wood, with both joy and sorrow on April 28th, which would be her 98th birthday. And the final one is from Laura Christenberry, a candle of joy and prayers for good weather as my college friend Ed and Chuck start hiking 27 days on the Appalachian Trail. We'll light one final candle representing all the joys and sorrows present in our hearts, but that remain unspoken. We will now observe a brief moment of silence before the meditation words begin.
From the ending to A Kill a Mockingbird. And they chased him and never could catch him because they didn't know what he looked like. And Atticus, when they finally saw him, why? He hadn't done any of those things. He was real nice. His hands were under my chin, pulling up the cover, tucking it around me. Most people are, Scout, when you finally see them.
Test. I'm trying to tell you something about my life. Baby, give me insight between black and white. And the best thing you've ever done for me is to help me take my life less seriously. It's only life after all. Yeah. Well, the darkness has a hunger that's insatiable, and the lightness has a call that's hard to hear. I wrap my fear around me like a blanket. I sail my ship of safety till I sank it. I'm crawling on your shores. And I went to the doctor, and I went to the mountains, and I looked to the children, and I drank from the fountain. There's more than one answer to these questions, pointing me in a crooked line. And the less I seek my source, closer I am to find. Yeah. Closer I am to find.
Yeah. And I went to see the doctor of philosophy with a poster of Rasputin and a beard down to his knee. He never did marry or see a B-grade movie. He graded my performance. He said he could see through me. I spent 4 years prostrate to the higher mind. Got my paper and I was free.
And I went to the doctor, and I went to the mountains, and I looked to the children, and I drank from the fountains. There's more than one answer to these questions, pointing me in a crooked line. And the less I seek my source, closer I am to find. Closer I am to find. And I stopped by a bar at 3 a.m. to seek solace in a bottle and possibly a friend. And I woke up with a headache like my head against the board. Twice as cloudy as I've been the night before, but I went in seeking clarity. And I went to the doctor, and I went to the mountains, and I looked to the children, and I drank from the fountains. We go to the doctor, we go to the mountains, we look to the children, and we drink from the fountains. We go to the Bible, we go through the workout, we read up on revival, and we stand up for the lookout. There's more than one answer to these questions, pointing me in a crooked line. And the less I seek my source, closer I am to find. Closer I am to find. Closer I am to find. Yeah.
So, in case you didn't recognize one or the other of those two people, they have agreed to join the choir. No excuses. Okay, they're thinking about it. Julie's done thinking. Well, thank you all for being here. I'm up here to help celebrate our 75th anniversary, which is such a great reason to rejoice and party. This morning, I want to talk about how the story of this fellowship is inspirational and relevant to us all. My thanks, first of all, to the author and the photographer of this book, Many Paths to Wisdom, which is a compilation of various members' reflections up to the turn of this century. Invaluable. Also to my editor and man behind the cameras. I also do want to let you know how I ended up here. I went to Reverend Chris with a complaint. Never go to a minister with a complaint unless you are prepared to commit to some form of solution. I'm pretty sure they take a course in seminary called Subtle Encouragement. My complaint was this. I had heard for the umpteenth time that Gil Rowland, who is considered by many to be the founder of this fellowship, said that in the early days of GUUF, there was a fair amount of cussing the Christians. Okay, that always gets a chuckle, but there are problems with it. There are Christians sitting here with us today who I imagine expect that we live what we espouse in our first principle. Acceptance to one another and encouragement to spiritual growth. And now I'm on the wrong page. Okay. Also, I have learned enough about Gil Rowland to know that cussing the Christians is far from being his most memorable idea or statement. With only 2 exceptions, I will not be giving names in this talk, who said or did or remembered what. That way I won't get into trouble. If I misquote someone or, as is probable, omit some very important names, because there are many, many important names, like every one of us. The first name I've already given you, Gil Rowland. He started a discussion group in his home in 1950. It is hearsay, and some say it is not a credible claim, but there is a story that there were originally 12 of them. I believe our minister did urge us to reconsider religious history just last Sunday, so. One couple who came to the discussion group a little later enthused about the acceptance they immediately felt at Gil's place. I was concerned that there didn't seem to be any women in those early discussions. They, of course, had cooked the food, cleaned the house, watched the kids, and probably later listened to their husbands' reflections. But it didn't take long for them to become vital and vocal parts of the group. Gil's wife, who started out making cookies, sometimes joined the conversation and fondly remembered being exposed to all types of people. Other women became actively involved, and by 1958, a woman was president of the GUUF board. But what of this person, Gil Rowland? A teacher, a journalist, a thinker, and most importantly, a questioner. Although Gil was certainly not shy about speaking his mind, he mostly did it with tact and diplomacy. He wrote a column for the Greenville Piedmont, the afternoon newspaper at the time, and addressed the questions of the day that concerned him: housing, segregation, education. A particularly telling example of Gil's subtlety comes from a column he wrote in May of 1968 after a well-known group called Up With People performed here. Some of you may remember them, an all-white, saccharine sweet group of young folks dancing pretty badly and espousing the unity of all. Gil's comments after complimenting the show and its performers, quote, Your philosophy would have been more impressive to me if you had invited a few hundred underprivileged kids. And here's a picture of Gil being honored at an anniversary celebration of the Fair Housing Act. The other man is Max Heller, who was a mayor in Greenville. And this, from one of Gil's last columns in 1983, he ended it this way: "These are my views. What are yours?" So this is our inheritance from Gil and the founders. On to the 60s, radically changing times, transformation, revolution. At GUUF, there was plenty of individual action and involvement. People advocating and even affecting discrimination in our schools and in our cities. But questions of whether, why, and how to grow continue to be consuming, as they are in many organizations. The discussion group had grown into a fellowship, but there were still people who wanted a discussion group, and there still are. What did people want, a secular group or more spirituality? This is an important question which continues to the present day. I'm going to ask anyone who joined or came to the fellowship for the first time in the 70s to stand. Woohoo. Yeah, okay, thank you. So things continued here into the decade of the 70s. Watergate, the energy crisis. Here at GUUF, we were anything but sedentary. For one thing, there is evidence of more play and more involvement of kids. No question that joy can alleviate conflict. New games were introduced, and the earth ball and the parachute. These games weren't just for the kids. Everyone was encouraged, not to say coerced, we are Unitarians after all, to participate. Then there was the Tilton Hilton, a ramshackle house owned by the Rowlands down on Hunting Island. The tales of outings there are numerous and no doubt embellished. Indian dinners began and have continued for over 40 years. And here we are. A few familiar faces. It's interesting that with the growth of group festivities, commitments also increased. People came from all different places. One couple had left another church, having had enough of unbending doctrine. The wife suggested, "We don't believe in any of that anyway. Let's just walk around the lake." But then they discovered GUUF, and the rest of their story is their long and invaluable tenure here. A group of singers started gathering around a piano. They became the GUUF Choir, with a knowledgeable volunteer director. Refugees from other countries, Uganda and Vietnam, were housed at the Buist Avenue. I think that was our very first home on Buist Avenue, right in the North Street area. Main Street area. And the first regular minister was called. The amazing thing was that until the 70s, there was no budget. They didn't even pass the plate, just relied on contributions. I am not suggesting this is a practice we should follow. Please make your pledge if you haven't. Just that the dedication of those early members is obvious. And somehow the bills got paid. Okay, next, if you came to the fellowship for the first time in the 80s, please stand. The 80s saw more new people joining. Exceptional speakers appeared each week, a tradition that had started early. One person said that when she first came, there was a mime who acted out our birth to our death in one service. and she was hooked. Pretty sure you wouldn't have found that anywhere else in Greenville. The religious education program was crucial, as it continues to be. Many people have said that they first came bringing their children to a place of openness where they could learn about Unitarian Universalism as well as other faiths. So, Bill, there we are. This is a little bit later, I think, into the 2000s, but yeah, those kids are probably graduated from college, but that's how it goes. Okay. There is much appreciation of our current RE program and curriculum, and adult RE classes as well. Adopt a House got started in the 80s, renovating homes for people who had few assets. The fellowship continued to mature and flourish. A minister was hired and unfortunately left under difficult circumstances. Conflict is never easy. But a lot of people stayed and, among other things, started the Rowland House, which offered lodging to people who couldn't otherwise afford it. Our ownership and care of that house and those families continued into this century. We also formed AIDS care teams to try to comfort and care for those ravaged by that awful disease. And there is a connection here to the Stevens House, which still houses homeless people living with HIV. At some point, property was purchased on East North Street. Some wanted to build a new church there. It was difficult when that didn't happen. Eventually, we purchased the Hillcrest property and met there for the next 8 years. Okay, the 90s. Who came to the fellowship for the first time in the 90s? Me too. Take a deep breath. We were growing steadily. There continued to be challenges, including the exit of another minister, and maybe old differences lingered somewhat. But we were still having fun. Rafting was great for lots of people. Okay, a few got stuck in hydraulics, but really it was mostly fun. And then the Evening of Elegance, which morphed into the No Talent shows. These particular women were apparently attempting to reproduce Aretha Franklin, and there are varying reports of their success. They shall remain unnamed. So much happened during those years. One of our members, who must have been in her 70s at the time, was assisting women as an escort at the abortion clinic on Lawrence Road. Perhaps because of a slight prejudice on the part of the local law enforcement and the vehement exclamations of a supposedly assaulted person, our member was charged and taken to court. As the judge was announcing her fine, another GUUF member came up behind her and put the money into her hands. That comes from community. The thrift shop opened in the 90s, and we began to be more involved in race and gender issues. The UU World of Children launched. It's downstairs, by the way. Since its inception, the UU World of Children's purpose has been to offer quality Montessori education at a reasonable cost. Scholarships have been a large part of this, and many of you have donated to the cause. Thank you for that. Jennifer Slade is the second person I will name. More than one person said they were drawn by her sermons, which were thoughtful, stimulating, and personal. She had a hand in almost all of the social action groups that began or were enhanced during her years. Jennifer had a keen empathy with people who were grappling with difficulties. She also loved to have fun. She was beautiful, talented, funny, and so smart. She nurtured us, and we became more of a community, more respectful, and more secure. But Jennifer had demons so deep that most of us never saw them until she took her own life in 2014. This was a long time after she left the fellowship, but it was still a cruel blow. We survived it by coming together, talking to each other, and eventually remembering the good times and good things she cultivated. We survived it as a community. And this is my personal example of community. When my husband died almost 20 years ago after a long illness, women from this fellowship came and spent the night with me at my house until I felt I was able to be on my own. 3 months, that's a lot of women. I can't express my appreciation for this. I don't honestly know who organized it. But that doesn't matter as much as the fact that I felt safe and cared for by my community, and I will never forget it. Now, remember when you were in high school taking a course called U.S. History of the 20th Century or something like that? The class would come close to the end of the semester and you would have covered up to World War I. Then the teacher would nervously try to rush through the next 80-odd years in 2 weeks, an impossible task. So people from the 21st century who have come here for the first time, please stand up. I know these last 25 years have seen tremendous change, but I only have a little time left here because coffee hour is calling, so my apologies. I will summarize it this way. We did a substantial renovation in 2014, making our campus more welcoming and more us. Okay, so this is just a year ago, but I just love that chalice. There is no doubt we are growing in our presence in Greenville. Goal, the We the People initiative, You the Vote, Adopt a Highway, and Food for Bombs are proof of that. We now have the time and energy to devote to the essential work of our city, community, and country. And we are doing these things together and in concert with other churches and lots of other people. I see some more young people here. Of course, at my age, you all look like you're 12. The president of our board may be the youngest ever. Someone can check me on that. And her energy is contagious. We are enjoying younger worship associates, choir, and various committee members. You're coming up with ideas that we haven't thought of. We need more of you. Really, it's so important. You are so important because we, the gray heads, are running out of steam and time, for that matter. We need you to take over, even though, of course, we will tell you how to do everything, because that's the way it's always done, which isn't true, of course. Nothing has always been done the way it's always been done. Stick with us, though. Talk to us and to each other. And remember, conflict is inevitable. It's the sign of a healthy community. Not that we don't argue, but that we do, with respect. It's a tall order, I know. I don't mean to belittle the position of the minister or the staff. They are crucial. But as we have seen particularly in lean or tough times, this fellowship is ours, all of ours. We are the lifeblood. This history we hold is our inheritance. Knowledge and appreciation of it does what I think history should do, drive us forward, continuing to create a common goal, to mutually better the world through effort, love, and joy. We, and especially you who are younger, are makers of the history to come. We are invigorated by it in our attempts to save and better this world. These are my views. What are yours? Thank you very much, because you might need some of those good vibes to forgive me when you hear the postlude. I love it, but it is different. Before that, though, let us sing number 346, Come Sing a Song with Me.
Please join me with the words that will be on the screen as we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, the warmth of community, and the power of love. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
As part of the benediction today, I'm going to use some of the words that Jennifer Slade said 2 weeks before we moved from this church, the fellowship at Hillcrest, to our fellowship here. And it was like moving into a palace, believe me. And as we are celebrating our 75th year and look forward to our future, may these words still hold true. The power of a covenant lies in the fact that it is based on affection and trust. As we move into the next years and celebrate our 75th year, we will be there as inheritors of an old covenant, a covenant of memory and hope based on affection and trust and bequeathed to us by all who built it and believed it and dreamed it before us. As we move forward, may we honor that covenant and be faithful keepers of the dream. For this is the day we are given. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Go in love, go in joy, and go in peace. Blessed be.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Hey, go, bring me down, can't none bring me down. This love is too high. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, bring me down, can't none bring me down. This love is too high. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. This love is too high. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness